A wise man once said, if you learn from your defeat, you haven't really lost. I've learned the greater the defeat, the greater the lesson. Nowhere in esports is the defeat greater than when your sodium levels are maxed, your motivation to continue is non-existent, and your faith in your fellow gamer is reached zero. Nowhere is the lesson greater than reviewing a game in which you've tilted. There's lots of great YouTube content out there that describes broad strategies to dealing with tilt. This is not one of those videos. My third rule of VOD reviews says I have to be my own harshest critic, no excuses. So in addition to going over my mechanical and positioning mistakes, I'm going to list each of the things I can find that contributed to me being tilted in this match, and I'll review them at the end, along with strategies I can use to avoid that going forward. This game takes us to Ascent, which meant I was already on the way to Salty Town without even knowing it. I don't dislike Ascent by any stretch of the imagination. The problem here is that at the time of this match, it was the map I was least familiar with. To further secure my starting position behind the 8-ball, another player on my team chose to play Sova. I considered myself a Sova one-trick at this point, so I was instantly less sure of how to proceed, and we hadn't even gotten past agent selection yet. I ended up choosing Brimstone, since that seemed to fit the team comp best. As the game started, the team comms instantly came alive, filling me with hope that this would be a good game. In my naive idealism, I spent some of the pre-round time in the early game attempting to teach the Sova a couple of the really good recon arrows in the seconds we had before round start. It didn't work out too well, and that was another step along the path to being tilted. In my efforts to help the Sova, I neglected to focus on my own gameplay. My smokes were later non-existent as I focused on whether my advice had been followed before making decisions for myself. As a result, any progress I'd recently made on my own mechanics went right out the window. I also wasn't as aware as I should have been to visual and sound cues that were crucial to learning the overall situation of the game.
The hunt begins.
Full charge.
On me, lit 105, get the trade.
That's the Reyna.
Get the trade right now.
See what I mean? At this point, I began to truly feel frustrated, and by the time I ramboed my way through this archway to give Phoenix the free kill in round 3, I knew this was not going to be the game I hoped for. My lack of familiarity on Brimstone also meant that I was giving away kills because I was focusing on when and where I should be using my abilities optimally, rather than having it integrated seamlessly into my gameplay, like I would if I'd been playing this character for a while. Being a Sova one-trick definitely hurt.
30 seconds left.
Planting. I don't have spikes.
There are natural limits to how much information you can keep in your head at once. When you're unfamiliar with the agent you're playing and completely frustrated with the situation at hand, it makes sense that you'll forget the behavior patterns the enemy team has been displaying so far, like how aggressive certain members of the enemy team might play if their teammates see you running away with the game's objective. And Phoenix is opping mid. In fact, my frustration ratcheted so high that my basic fight-or-flight instincts took over, and my body started forgetting to breathe properly. This led to tunnel vision, which meant that things were showing up on my screen, but I wasn't seeing them.
Enemy remaining. Last player standing.
I wish I could apologize to my teammates from this match. Not only was I tilted, but I committed the cardinal sin of taking it out on them when they were truly not deserving of it. After all, they're trying their best just like I should be trying my best. It's not their fault I couldn't get the Molotov through this window like I wanted to, and it's not their fault I became indecisive when my plans to secure the entrance failed. Reddit abounds with messages like, "Please don't pick someone to fill the comp if you're not comfortable with them. I'd rather you play someone you're comfortable with and can contribute to the win on rather than someone you don't know how to play properly." A lesson I definitely believe in and should have listened to here. One of my takeaways that's definitely been reinforced by this match has definitely been meta doesn't matter if you're anything south of Diamond. Focus on your mechanics and you'll probably get kills. So if you're playing 5 duelists and you're in silver like I am, and everyone is very comfortable on their picks, you actually have a really good chance of winning against 5 people who are trying to force a meta comp, even if they're not necessarily familiar on those heroes, just because you can be more focused on your gameplay rather than focusing on what's considered right and proper by pros you're very far away from. I believe that if I'd listened to this lesson, I would have gotten my first kill before round 9, and it wouldn't have been a lucky kill through a flash like this one was.
Last player standing.
Heck, even if I hadn't gotten any kills, if I'd chosen an agent I was more comfortable on, even my utility might have provided more assistance to my team than I did here.
True.
Spending time in a custom match on a new map, either alone or with friends, can actually do a lot for how well you play on a given game. For example, you might not forget that there's actually a third way out when you're being pinched from 2 sides, instead of trying to take a fight you're outgunned in because you don't think you have a choice and dying needlessly. Sorry I'm playing like shit. I'm
Last round before the switch.
normally a Sova main and I can normally get the entire team lit up.
My bad, G.
It's all good, man. It's all good. A really compelling reason for reviewing a game in which you're tilted is that, because so much of your conscious thought is consumed by frustration, you get to see just how much training has become muscle memory. For example, I see here that my recoil control hasn't truly become a habit yet. Rule 4 of my VOD review says I need to be my own biggest fan. So in the face of everything that's happened this game, whether it was my fault or not, my mistake or not, when I managed to finally take a deep breath, start disregarding the consequences of what I was doing and focus solely on my own gameplay, and pull this off, this is where I start seeing the results of my training. And with additional practice, I won't have to wait 18 rounds to finally start seeing it.
Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
But there's still a long way to go.
Stim beacon down.
Nice try.
Attackers win.
Before we end today's video, I just wanted to go over the list of things that made me tilt in this game and what I'm going to do to prevent it from happening again. Maybe if you find yourself in a similar situation, what I do here can help you too. During Agent Select, someone else picked the only agent I've put any serious effort into learning for the last several weeks. This put me in a situation where I had no confidence in whoever I might have picked, and ended up defaulting to some pretty old behaviors. In the time since this game, I've played quite a few unrated and Spike Rush matches with heroes that aren't Sova, in an effort to make it so that I'm more confident if I'm ever in this kind of situation again. This has had the added bonus of not only making it so that I can get through Agent Select more likely before being polarized with Indecision, but my increased knowledge of these alternate agents has given me more confidence in what I can do going against them going forward. On a related note, I now live the ideal that I should only play agents I'm comfortable with regardless of the meta. I'm not Diamond yet, I'm not Valorant tier yet, so right now I feel like my mechanics, my basic mechanics that are applicable to every agent, are more important than following what the pros tell me the meta should or should not be at this point in time. That doesn't mean I don't want to know what the meta is, but rather I want to focus on things that are independent of the meta first. Additionally, during Agent Select, I advocate that to others who might be indecisive about who they want to pick. If our team doesn't have a Sage and someone's unsure because they're not necessarily a Sage main, I go ahead and tell them, you play who you want to play. The increased morale, because they now have permission to play someone they're more confident on, has actually led to my teams having more wins with off-meta team comps than you might normally think. My lack of familiarity with Ascent as a map definitely rankled with me in this game. So in the time since, I've spent a couple multi-hour sessions just walking around this map alone on a custom map with cheats on, theory crafting angles of defense and approaches, and just seeing what's there. What can I use? What's the geometry like? Looking at it from above using the ghost cheat that is available to you in a custom match, and just running around and trying to see what timings are and all that. Getting more of a feel for the map. Kind of like running around a new house before you've unpacked your furniture in it. This newfound comfort has made it so that Ascent is actually one of the maps I like the most. One of the things I didn't mention in this video was the fact that the person I was queued with wasn't exactly the most vocal on team comms. They definitely had some things to say on party comms, but their callouts weren't where I would have liked them to be, and I'm not necessarily going to blame my loss on that. In fact, I'm definitely not going to, because of all the things I could have done better, as you've seen here in this video. I don't remember exactly when or why I added this individual to my friends list. One of the hazards of just adding people to your friends list if you have a good game with them. I'm going to chalk this one up to not doing due diligence before queuing into a ranked match. My bad. Finally, the thing that's helped me the most in my matches since this game has been something that, in retrospect, is extremely obvious. Focus on my own gameplay. Makes sense that my first rule of VOD reviews is also going to be somewhat important in the actual games I play, right? Since then, other people's play, or lack thereof, doesn't bother me as much as it used to, because I'm only focused on how I can do to the best of my ability. And my kill-death ratio has actually climbed significantly overall as a result. I hope you found this as educational as I did. If you have any questions, feedback, or any other advice you think I can follow, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. The raw versions of these VODs are over on my Twitch channel, which can be found in the description below. Please give me a like and subscribe if you want any more of this kind of content. Doing those things definitely helps. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.